Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the 3-Minute Marketer. It's been a minute since I've seen you here. I wanted to talk to you about something that's near and dear to my heart, and that is podcasting. I recently bit the bullet and took my own advice and started a podcast at Wealth Matters called The Wealth Horizon. And I thought it would be helpful for me to take you through who, what, where, why, and when of my own podcast journey, since I know it is not an easy one. There's so many times that I make recommendations to advisors that I can see them literally turn green when I say, it's time for you to start a podcast or it's time for you to start a webinar series. So I wanted to share this experience with you all and take you through my own podcast journey. It might be a little bit more than 3 minutes, but I think it's worth it. So first, and probably the most important piece of the podcast is the who. Who do I want to reach with this podcast? Well, my audience clearly is advisors, but for our advisor partners, their audience probably is going to be family members, their existing clients, and also centers of influence. When I decided to launch a podcast, I knew that it would be a great medium to reach the advisors in our audience, to talk to them about the most important challenges to growing in wealth management today. So when we started the podcast, we had a very clear idea of our target audience and what we wanted them to get out of the podcast. In every episode, we want them to get big, concrete takeaways that will help them to improve and grow their practices. You can do the same thing with your clients and your prospects. And this brings us to the what. What are you going to be talking about and what mediums are you going to be using? So a podcast is wonderful because you don't have the pressure of the video. You don't have to create a video. Being in front of a camera is challenging for many of us on so many levels. And for me, having ongoing daily conversations with experts in our field is something that I do every day. So I felt that podcasting would be a great medium for us to have these conversations. I also chose to do it on video as well as audio, so you can access that on video and audio, but that's not necessary. Most of the advisors that we work with only do it on audio in your traditional podcasting experience. Another piece of the what is what you want your audience to take away from each and every episode. For us, it is practical, actionable, best practices that advisors can implement in their own practices to grow. For our advisor partners, it might be that they want to talk to their clients and their prospects about the markets, about estate planning strategies, about tax law changes, or market flash updates. Whatever the what is, it should be clear to everyone who listens to your podcast what it is that they're going to be getting out of it. The next piece of my podcast journey was the when. It was the cadence, right? So when am I going to deliver this? I actually started with a once a month cadence, and then I decided to shift that into a once every 2 weeks cadence. For me, that was better. There were so many people that I wanted to talk to. Some of these conversations, when I had to wait for a month to release them, it was just the lead time was too long. So for me, every 2 weeks was perfect. For you, it might be once a month. And for most of our advisors, it is once a month cadence that is best for them. The next piece of my podcast journey was the where. You do not have to have a professional podcasting studio. You can launch at your desk with a professional podcasting mic and a computer, and that's all you need. There are so many platforms on the internet that can help you to produce a podcast. We use a podcasting platform called Squadcast. It makes it very easy to record the podcast in video and audio, whichever one you prefer. The why of my podcast journey is why I want my advisor partners to listen. I want to help them grow their practices. I want to bring them these conversations that I'm having with industry leaders all the time about the best practices that they see. What works? What's not working? What's working for growth? What's working for expanding COI relationships? I want to bring all of that information to the people who I'm connected to. Having a very clear why when you get started is important. It will help to shape every episode in a clear and concise way so that your audience knows exactly what they're going to get. And lastly, my how. For me, the how was maybe the easiest part. Producing the podcast was a seamless experience because I have a team of professionals that I work with to help me produce this. But there are many ways that you can record a podcast, and I know many professionals do it on their own, and I think that's wonderful. However you decide to execute your podcast, my main recommendation is don't wait. Don't hesitate. For me, in my podcasting journey, my biggest barrier was the fear of putting myself out there as an expert, talking to other experts. And I found that these conversations were simply a reflection of the day-to-day conversations that I have with the people I'm connected with all the time, day in and day out. So at the end of the day, it really wasn't as much of a trauma as I thought it was going to be. So I hope you don't wait. I hope you launch your podcast soon. And if you need help to do it, please don't hesitate. Give us a call.